Hello. Let me check in with the chapters 13 to 24 of Swords of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs, a 1936 science fiction fantasy novel, which actually is, we've returned to the main character of the series, the original character, John Carter. John Carter of Virginia, who becomes John Carter of Mars, Warlord of Mars, and he'd gone off to hunt assassins, and unfortunately, as things turned out, the assassins decided to kidnap Deja Thoris and, using inventor stuff, take her to one of the moons of Mars, where he would be unable to get at her, and thus would have to pay their ransom, and then they would betray and kill him. He pursued them to the thing because there was two rival inventors who had both created this thing. Interestingly enough, the one that he is most dealt with, Fal Civis, has created this mechanical mind. And this mechanical mind is something that really, really freaks out the characters in this novel. It's just like they say, it's something that's deeply unnatural when John Carter kind of shows them this thing that can enact his will. He just thinks, like, do this and it will do it, and it does massive calculations. I mean, it's running a spaceship to a moon and calculating kind of trajectories and stuff like that, and they find it very disturbing. And I'm thinking, basically, like, the thing that I'm holding in my hand right now is a mechanical mind, and something in 1936, a science fiction author was thinking about this as a deeply disturbing thing. And also kind of like having the horrors of, like, what happens if it does become, like, independent, is able to actually become capable of independent thought, and how horrible that would be. So that's just one of these little sidebars that Edgar Rice Burroughs always throws into his adventure action plots. We've got the fan going beside me, so let me go and sit over here. So yes, so this is an action plot, and it does turn into another thing where we gotta rescue the princess. And there's the princess, and there's various women that fall in love with John Carter. There's Xanda, who we have this whole thing of slaves in these novels, and it's often a slave woman who's like, "Oh, I want you to take me as your slave, John Carter." And John Carter's like, "Nope. No, I won't do that. And indeed, I'm going to free you. And indeed, I'm going to have to resist all your come-hithers, because I have one true love, and that is Deja Thoris." And so he remains chaste in the sense that he is very monogamous to Deja Thoris in the thing. But and indeed, we also have this with the Osama, I think it is, who is a kidnapped woman who is held by the Swrds, who are this race of purple-haired people. Actually, she's also purple-haired, white-skinned, purple-haired people who have used their mental powers to remain invisible, much like we've had with other races, where they use their mental powers to either be invisible or to be able to create armies of created creatures out of their heads to populate the cities. It's kind of that kind of same kind of returning to that well again, but just the power of the mind in these books. And these people can make themselves invisible by basically kind of using hypno powers on the people. And John Carter has to concentrate a lot to be able to actually to shake this off, and is helped in this by a Menace, which is this kind of cat guy who has got, like, one giant eye, two mouths, one with lots of teeth, and one that's kind of a sphincter hole, that is, like, and it's kind of a mohawk, and is a chameleon, and eats its food alive. Has delivered a live bird each time. but they make friends, and even though it turns out later that the Minas people are cannibals, or well, they eat human beings. At least I don't think they're cannibals because they're not eating their own kind, but they quite clearly see the other bipeds on the planet as fair game to be eaten. But where was I going with all that? But yeah, so we get that. So they have to try and rescue Dejah Thoris. John Carter manages to kind of battle his way back in, get the ships, team up with the other villains. One of whom, the chief assassin John, actually kind of stays true to his thing, where as the rival scientist, whatever his name is now, Nergal or whatever the hell it is, betrays them and takes off with Dejah Thoris. And indeed, they finally do get back to Barsoom. Actually, what happens is they're all on the ship, and then suddenly the ship gets drawn back to Earth irresistibly, and it gets taken back to Falcivis's to his laboratory, where there's a note saying, "You'll never find me, and you'll never be able to get back, because only my mind can control the ship." And it's like, oh man, well, that's going to be really hard to find him. At which point, the rat, Rapus, the rat, shows up and says, and they threaten him, and he takes them right to him, which is the rival scientist's place. And yep, they find them both sitting together. They threaten them, and it's like, okay, yeah. Falcivis says, "Oh, sure, yeah. I'll give you the control of the ship, and you can just keep me on the ship while you go and get Dejah Thoris, because Dejah Thoris is apparently back at Thuria." Except, just as they're about to go off and do that, and the assassin guy was just like, "Well, now let's kill the scientist, because the rival scientist, Gal, whatever his name is, because he betrayed you." It's like, well, but he told me where Dejah Thoris is, so I can't kill him. At which point, and they're leaving to do that. At which point, Dejah Thoris bursts in and says, "No, I'm here." At which point, and they embrace, and the assassin guy guts the scientist, and that's it. It just cuts off really quickly right there. It's like, no, we don't have to go back, and he's dead. And it's just like, what the hell? The ending just is like super rushed. What the hell? Just kind of doesn't make any bloody sense. Just of the build up. "You'll never find me." Oh, here he is. To, oh, she's back on the thing. Oh no, actually she's right here. It's just like it was nonsense that way. But yeah, I enjoyed the whole things on the scientists, the whole thing of the yet again with the mental powers, interesting stuff of just that kind of slave thing. I actually kind of makes me think of small game hunting at the local Coward Gun Club, and another John who casts himself as the guy who, oh, all these women are always throwing themselves at me, and they're just disturbed, and it's not my fault that this is happening. And in some ways, John Carter is the heroized version of that, except he's not banging all these women, which is kind of an interesting thing of like, male fantasy, and then here's a female talking about kind of the asshole real version of it, which I don't know if I'm going to include that in a review of John Carter of Mars, but it's just like an interesting commentary there of like, okay. Yeah, so that's what I have at the moment. That's just my wrap up. I will do an actual review of the story of the novel for the end of the month, because I've been popping these out. But yeah, I actually enjoyed that. It had enough little elements peppered throughout that it was good. It was good that, and it was weird this time because I was like, crap, I need to get this read really quickly because I need to clear off other things and things. So I really focused on it this weekend. And one of the ways I focused on it was there was a YouTube channel that had a mechanical voice, just reading the text, like a speech to text program, reading the text. And there's complaints on it saying like, oh, this is terrible. But in some ways, John Carter is such bare bones, meat and potatoes sort of storytelling that I actually didn't mind it as this mechanical voice, which is kind of funny for a story that's all about the mechanical mind and the horrors of it. That's like, oh, I actually was okay with that narrator, which I guess shows exactly how low my standards are for narrators for this sort of thing, which is kind of hilarious. So yeah, that's my experience with The Swords of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Another ripping yarn, another fun story in the Barsoom series, which I guess I'm clicking down to the end here. I'm waiting for there to really be a big drop off in quality. So far, I really enjoyed the stories. I've enjoyed in this one the Manus, the mechanical mind stuff was just really cool. Just because it's like, oh, this is how people back in a writer in 1936 thought of this, as well as the whole thing of, Edgar Rice Burroughs' views on what science was going to get us, and the dangers maybe of that, which was like, yeah, kind of cool. All right, more videos later.